always been people who find the evolution hard to believe. Although it's more than thoroughly proven, at first, not even Darwin believed it. So how did he come to write one of the most important and controversial theories in science history?
Let us get to know more about the Darwinian evolution of Charles Darwin. Charles Robert Darwin had always wanted to study nature, even though his father wanted him to become a doctor or a priest. Born on February 12 of 1809 and died April of 1882, Charles Darwin lived a meaningful life as a famous naturalist and biologist. He was known for his theory of evolution and process of natural selection. He has authored the book On the Origin of Species, published in 1858. One of his famous quotes says, "It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is most adaptable to change."
This quote of Charles Darwin is actually anchored to his famous Darwinian Revolution, whereby it introduces Darwin's idea of natural selection. That shows how the process whereby organisms, better adapted to their environment, tend to survive and produce more offspring, or what we can say, the survival of the fittest. Thus, his quote, "It is not the strongest species that survive, nor the intelligent ones survive. It is the one that is most adaptable to change."
The theory of evolution. Evolution is the change in the genetic composition of a population over successive generations. On 1831, Darwin went on a voyage aboard the ship HMS Beagle. He visited the coast and islands of South America and Australia. Here, Darwin observed and collected a wide range of plants and animals, which he observed and analyzed later on. Darwin had found around 15 different species of finch when he was on the Galapagos Islands, and noticed that the birds were similar to the other finches in a lot of ways, but their beaks were all in different shapes. He analyzed the beaks and found out that the different beaks matched the type of food available on each island. Darwin's finches, presenting the differences on beak structure. For example, Certhidea olivacea. It has skinny and pointed beaks which enables it to pick and eat insects better. On the other hand, Geospiza parvulia. It has big, sharp beaks which enables it to eat and get through the skin of hard fruits. Darwin concluded that the birds adapted to their environment over time. It was also found out that the beak size was an adaptation to weather. During wet years, it is advantageous for finches with smaller, slender beaks, and food was more abundant. And during dry years, it is advantageous for finches with larger, longer beaks, and few seeds are produced, so they had to work harder. The number of birds with different beak shapes are changed by natural selection in response to the food supply. The Galapagos finches helped Darwin solidify his idea on natural selection.
Did you know the theory of the greatest biologist in the history? Who is he? He was Charles Darwin. He is mainly popular about his theory of evolution. Are you ready to delve about these three main ideas of Darwin's theory of evolution? Let me start with species change over time and space.
Darwin found fossils of what looked like giant armadillos and sloths. Clearly, these animals had existed at some point, but they didn't anymore. This made Darwin suspect species had changed over time in line with some existing but unpopular theories. He had also seen mockingbirds, and when he got to the Galapagos, he found different mockingbird species on the islands distinct among each other, and from the mainland species because of their sheer similarity and closeness.
On this tape, the second main idea takes place, in which Darwin hypothesized about all organisms share common ancestors with other organisms.
Just like how Darwin said that monkeys, apes, and humans must have a common ancestors because of our great similarities compared to other species. Even in his day, it could be shown that we are more similar to apes than apes are to monkeys.
We are down to the last main idea of Darwin's theory. It was the evolutionary change is gradual and slow.
By gradual, Darwin did not mean perfectly smooth, but rather stepwise, with a species evolving and accumulating small variations over long periods of time until a new species was born.
Evolution by natural selection is one of the substantiated theories in the history of science, supported by evidence from a wide variety of scientific disciplines, including paleontology, geology, genetics, and developmental biology. Given enough time and enough accumulated changes, natural selection can create entirely new species known as macroevolution. It can turn dinosaurs into birds, amphibious animals into whales, and the ancestors of apes into humans. Darwin also described a form of natural selection that depends on an organism's success at attracting a male, a process known as sexual selection. The physical and behavioral changes that make natural selection possible happen at the level of DNA and genes. Such changes are called mutations. Mutations are basically the raw material on which evolution acts. It can be caused by random errors in DNA replication or repair, or by chemical or radiation damage. Most times, mutations are either harmful or neutral. But in rare instances, a mutation might provide beneficial to the organism. In this way, natural selection guides the evolutionary process, preserving and adding up the beneficial mutations and rejecting the bad ones. The theory is sometimes described as survival of the fittest. In any environment, plants and animals from the same species show natural variation in their physical characteristics, such as neck length in giraffe. Darwin suggested that those plants and animals best suited to their environment are more likely to survive and pass on their characteristics to their offspring. Over a long period of time, the characteristics of the surviving members of the species will come to predominate.
Confused? Here's another example.
Early 1800s, light peppered moths survive better because of their color, which match the color of tree trunks, while black peppered moths are more likely to be seen by predators and be eaten. During the Industrial Revolution, there came the factories and smoke that turned many trees black with soot, and the black peppered moths were able to survive better. There are 4 components of natural selection. First, variation. Organisms within populations exhibit individual variation in appearance and behavior. These variations may involve body size, hair color, facial markings, voice properties, or number of offspring. On the other hand, some traits show little to no variation among individuals. For example, number of eyes in vertebrates. Second, inheritance. Some traits are consistently passed on from parent to offspring. Such traits are heritable, whereas other traits are strongly influenced by environmental conditions and show weak heritability. Third, high rate of population growth. Most populations have more offspring each year than local resources can support, leading to a struggle for resources. Each generation experiences substantial mortality. And lastly, differential survival and reproduction, also known as adaptation. Individuals possessing traits well suited for the struggle for local resources will contribute more offering in the next generation.
Hi! Let us know the social effects and the scientific impact of the revolution. Darwinian Revolution, particularly the theory of evolution, has been influential in regards to social Darwinism, Nazism, communism, and racism. The Germans Humans were the higher race destined for glorious evolutionary future. For this reason, the Jews should be segregated. Otherwise, mixed marriages would take place. The Darwinian Revolution, or the theory of evolution by natural selection, has been widely accepted as our best scientific explanation of how life on Earth works. And that's all for today. Thank you for watching.